The high level of SSL compression achieved here, does it depend on decrypting?
So it certainly does. And the reason what we're able to do is we're able to decrypt that SSL traffic through the use of certificates and also the storage of those certificates into our optimization, sort of our steelheads. And if we import those certificates, then we're able to decrypt, optimize that traffic and re-encrypt and then send it across the wire again. So essentially that's what we do. We do have to decrypt that traffic because by its very nature, anything that's encrypted will never be the same. So we'll never see those patterns if it's encrypted. So we need to decrypt it, and we have a number of different ways of being able to decrypt that, whether it's man in the middle. We're coming up with a new solution that'll be available early next year, where basically there is a client that sits on top of on the desktop that acts and is part of the certificate authority and trusted and all that sort of stuff.
What are some of the benefits of a solution like LightningFlow in, say, the mining industry?
I think one of the things we're seeing in the mining industry, Focus work heavily with a number of large mining companies especially in Western Australia, but also in Queensland and the Northern Territory. We're finding that more and more of the mining sites are requiring sort of better environments for their workers. It's harder to get workers out to site. So getting them being able to use solutions that involve being able to access their family, being closer to home, being able to stream media and things is extremely important. That's something we'd obviously see at night, not during the day. And the other thing that we're also seeing is access to cloud applications is key. So when these mining companies decide they want to roll out environments, so they want to extend it to the mine sites and things like that, so there can be access to that data. And they want to do it in a way that's obviously optimized during work time. So I think something like LightningFlow, especially optimization across very remote sites using satellite. And I think that's a really key thing, being able to optimize that application traffic and get the end user experience. And I think in the past, especially with satellite solutions, you've got mostly delivered on geostationary at the moment, although as Roo mentioned, the new Starlink capability will bring low Earth orbit and mid Earth orbit into play. You're looking at 600 milliseconds. So if you've got any way you can reduce that latency, improve the performance either by acceleration of protocols or things like that, or being able to cache data and use some intelligence is extremely important for those particular sites. One thing I was going to just touch on as well, Jonathan, and I think it was a really good point that Con made, was around from a commercial perspective, using these satellite providers is also, the bandwidth's extremely expensive, and some of it is usage based. So if you do have a usage based configuration at your site where we are paying by the megabyte, any traffic that you can reduce on that particular link does bring quite good commercial outcomes for you. So something to consider as well.
The high level of SSL compression achieved here, does it depend on decrypting? So Con answered that. And the rejoinder, if you like, is, so in that case, what are the security compliance regulatory certifications?
Yeah, I'll start with that one. And then I guess the other panelists can kick in. That's the beauty of the LightningFlow solution. So we're built on, technology and our partner vendors platforms that have been around for 20 or more years. So I'd be very surprised if there wasn't a certification that we didn't have across the solution. Yeah. But if you want more specifics, we can obviously give you a list, but I'm certain we tick every box, because these technologies are in every organization you can think of around the world.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just going to say that if you look at some of our biggest customers in the world, they are the military and defence forces, they are the banks, they are all that sort of stuff that use our technology. So this is a proven technology that they are comfortable with and have passed all of their security mechanisms. So there's no question about that whatsoever. And like I said, more than happy to have a long conversation around that.
Is there a managed service?
Yes. So I think it's probably time for one of the best parts of the LightningFlow solution, and that's the pricing. Well, I mean, there's many good parts, but the pricing is just as good as the capability. And the reason why I'm showing you this, Jonathan, is so that I can explain the answer to that question. But to put this into perspective, the LightningFlow small solution supports up to 2,000 connections. So that works out to be roughly $4.50 per user. And the medium supports up to 5,000 connections. And then there's also a custom, which is the large, which we can tailor make, for different scenarios. So to answer the question, it's a subscription service that includes the installation, and it also includes a fully managed service, so support and maintenance over that 36-month period. There is an additional installation hardware deposit at the start, but the subscription includes a fully managed service. So we ship it to your location, we install it, we configure it, and then we continually operate and manage. Let's say there's a hardware failure or a disk. In the box also comes with IoT sensors for humidity detection, open and closed door sensor, because it's a fully managed solution. You should never have to open the unit. And things like failure and fault prediction is all part of the service. Where we give you a monthly report, on key stats of your LightningFlow units, and maintenance suggestions if needed.
I'm interested in knowing how much the benefit could be in terms of savings with cloud services. Do you have any answer for that?
Well, so I'm going to do a sneaky pitch here. I own another company called The Good Stack. The Good Stack, Ernst has joined as an attendee, I saw. He's our Chief Optimization Officer. And the Good Stack is all about cost optimization and cost modeling. So the reason why I bring that up is because that question can only be answered based on the specific scenarios of your environment and your workloads, and the mix of technologies, whether it be AWS, Azure, Google, data center. So it's hard to give an exact number, but there is from a bandwidth, if we're reducing the bandwidth, so if we're reducing the bandwidth by 80%, your ingress egress data is going to be 80%. The question is just how much can we reduce the bandwidth based on your mix of technology? And that's what the Good Stack and people like Ernst and my team there help businesses do, is build a use case or a business case, a return on investment on this, if needed through a consultancy. Otherwise, we can give you some benchmark. But a good way, just on the storage layer, NetApp have an Azure cost calculator and an AWS cost calculator. So if you're using LightningFlow and the NetApp solution, go onto the Azure calculator that they have on their website, or the AWS calculator, and punch in some numbers, and it will show you what you save on the storage layer. But I'm pretty sure that the LightningFlow solution will pretty much pay for itself. And I can fairly confidently say that if you're taking in all the performance benefits across the platform.
Certainly from an egress sort of cost reduction, from a productivity improvement perspective, we've been building ROI on our technologies for many, decade and a half. So yeah.
What amount of data volumes would produce a positive ROI from the licensing costs?
We need to run an exercise across your specific use case and workloads. If the benchmarks aren't suitable.
What kind of reports are those that are delivered monthly?
The reporting would be things like hardware performance. Are the lights on in the units? What is the volume of data moving through the unit? What is the optimization levels? What are how efficiently are your various internet connections? What's the uptime? When looking at the IoT platform, making sure that your IoT devices, the batteries are still there, because a lot of our IoT, or the inbuilt sensors, use battery technology, so we can ship out new batteries if those get flat. The list goes on and on. It's literally just making sure that your unit is humming and singing, giving you value, and doing what we sold.
Yeah, I should also add just actually no, I was going to go on the cost again, but don't worry, keep going. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm done.
Right. So on the cost as well, we actually have clients that can sit on laptops and that sort of stuff as well. So you don't have to physically be sitting behind a LightningFlow. And if you've got a satellite connection, for example, you're in a mining site and you're kilometers away from the LightningFlow server, then having that mobile client that will then go back and talk to that LightningFlow server again will speed up that process. Will reduce the cost of that satellite sort of connectivity and so forth as well.
Actually, I've noticed Bruce, one of our partners from Aptio, who my company, the Good Stack, partners with, they specialize in cost optimization technology. So, if continual cost optimization is a concern, there are ways for us to build in, key metrics around the platform, and also do things like right sizing. So if you're using or reserved instances, so if you're using LightningFlow to push data across, let's say, 20 different mines into your central data center, let's say it was on Azure, based on real-time data throughput, we can resize and right size and do things like reserved spot instances, to reduce your cloud data analytics platform too.
How does LightningFlow compare with other edge computing solutions in the marketplace?
There are some other solutions available. The key difference here is this is definitely the most advanced, most flexible solution, and best performing solution on the market. It is heterogeneous, as I mentioned, so you don't have a vendor lock-in. You can run it across any cloud, any data center. It's configurable up to the hilt, from a storage layer, a data layer, an application layer, and a network layer. It's got SD-WAN in the box. It's got the world's best storage technology in the box. It's got the world's best optimization technology in the box, the world's best migration and replication technology in the box. And it works with any cloud. So for large organizations, enterprises that might have AWS and Azure, those vendors have a product. Those products don't do what this does. It's a limited edge computing solution. But in those cases, you need one of each from those vendors, because they don't do cross-vendor support. So again, from an ROI perspective and mixed environments, this is very, very compelling.
What's the process to implement and install LightningFlow?
So it's a fully managed solution. There is no unmanaged solution. The pricing you see there includes is an all-up fee. Okay, so when I say managed, it's management of the LightningFlow solution. The technology, making sure that the unit is running. There's no faults, there's no breakages. We will make sure that when it gets on site, think like replication to your data center or your Azure or whatever it is configured, that storage is connected, that optimization is turned on. But we're not going to configure your environment. We're not going to configure your data lake. We're not going to configure your mining sensors to configure, to connect, to write to a certain table. Those are projects. So the managed solution means we're looking after the LightningFlow box, making sure that you're connected on both ends, and that the performance capabilities are turned on across the box. And then if there are any issues, you've got a service desk you can call and say, hey, but with the monitoring, it's we'll probably end up calling you.
I was wondering if this pricing is on a per site basis, and what would be a typical small and large site? Is it by user or bandwidth?
So this is a per LightningFlow unit price. Obviously we do have a scaling model. So if you've got 100 sites, then we can obviously work on the pricing. This is the basically RRP per unit. It is based on bandwidth. So you can see here that the small supports an internet bandwidth connection of up to 50 meg, and it comes with 20 terabytes of storage, and all the other features you've seen today. So the on unit storage is there in those cases where the internet connectivity drops. So let's say you're in the middle of the Australian outback and there's a sandstorm. I don't even know if that happens in the outback, but and you're not getting any satellite connection, and maybe on that site you have microwave and that's being disrupted, but you don't have any fiber. You lose your connection. The LightningFlow solution will continue to capture data transparently, store that on local storage, and then once the connectivity is restored, it will automatically resume the replication to your data center or your cloud. So it's seamless capability, and that's why we have that replication and on-premise storage and that feature. The medium is then obviously based on a 200 meg connection, and that comes with 100 terabyte storage. And the custom, we can configure that to meet any bandwidth requirement or any storage requirement.
How do your deployment architectures cater for OT/industrial disconnected networks? Is this possible?
This solution was born out of our working relationship with Orica, which obviously has a primary use case for this kind of technology. We are also working with Halliburton, Worley Parsons around a reseller model, because as you know, Halliburton create some of the largest software. It's one of the largest companies in the world, but they create software for oil and gas. So if you think of a oil refinery in the middle of the ocean, they have this problem all the time with connectivity and connections dropping, and that is one of the primary use cases for this. They have customers coming to them saying, "Oh, we're having problems with your software." In fact, the software is fine. It's just the ability for the software to communicate and push the data across. So
can I just elaborate on that as well?
Yeah.
The underlying technology, certainly of the networking side, which that Riverbed is sort of providing as part of the LightningFlow solution, is not dependent upon internet. So whilst there is an SD-WAN fabric as part of that, it does not have to be connected to the internet, right? So this can be all private networks without any connectivity to the internet whatsoever. At the end of the day, what we want is connectivity, and we don't care if it's public internet access or private links.
Is the data encrypted at rest into the NetApp components of LightningFlow?
The short answer is yes, but there's obviously different ways to write the data to the NetApp solution and to encrypt the data as well. Okay, so there's multiple ways to encrypt the data at rest. There's multiple ways to have your own encryption keys as well. So it doesn't have to be an encryption keys that is generated by our solution. You can have your own encryption keys as well as part of that solution to make sure that the data is safe, obviously.